Good afternoon, everybody. Hope everybody's having a good Sunday. Well, it's time to work on the Raminator. I've got to take the reverse out of it, and I need to swap out high-speed gearing. I don't know if any of y'all ever worked on anything like a Raminator before, but all the bolts are extremely Loctited. Everything has to be heated with a torch. Some things are just not in the position to be able to use an impact or a small powered screwdriver. There's just not the room, so you have to use a lot of hand tools, and it just takes a long time. So this is a video of me taking it apart and taking the reverse out and changing to the high-speed gearing, and I didn't really move the camera around a lot, and I got the footage I could get, but so let's check it out. Thanks. Here I'm taking the set pin out of the drive shaft on the transmission side. Like I said, everything's Loctited in, and I heated this up previously, and I started loosening it up, but I didn't take it all the way out, so it's still pretty tight. So we're gonna get it out, we'll get the drive shaft off, then we'll start working on the front of the transmission, which I really didn't even have to take off. If I'd have just spun around to the back of the transmission and started there, then I'd have saved myself a lot of time. But let's watch. A lot of these things are just in odd places, and there's not a lot of room, and you don't have a lot of leverage, and you just kind of got to move it the 16th or the 1/8 of an inch at a time that you can move it, and eventually it'll come loose. Once I get the drive shaft out, I use my impact driver to take the screws out of the front of the transmission after I heat them up with a torch. I'm very, very careful about that because I don't want to strip any screws. And it's pretty easy to do depending on the hardware, the quality of the hardware, and how powerful your driver is. I only have a 12-volt little impact driver from Walmart, so it's not really the most powerful, but it will still strip a screw out, so you have to be very careful and mindful of that. I'm not going to speed the video up or anything like that because I want you to see the time it takes to do anything to these big RCs, these big fifth scales like the Raminator being the biggest, but like even a Baja. It takes a long time because you don't have a lot of room and there's a lot of fasteners and they're tight. And it looks like I'm about to get this set pin out after however long it's been. So let's, oh, there it goes. All right, well, let's get the camera moved and get this drive shaft out of the way, and we'll keep on. A torch is so important. Like, you're going to strip stuff and you just gotta heat it up. You gotta make sure it's hot. You gotta make sure that the Loctite turns loose. And even then, it's still not easy. Even after all this heating with this torch, you're still going to hear my little impact go ga 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 before it breaks it loose. It's pretty crazy, really. You gotta have a torch or you can't even work on a Raminator. I get these last couple bolts heated up and out and go to take the front off, and I realize that I should have took the back off. Which in reality, they both needed to come off anyway, but you know, I would have probably liked to start with the back side.
Gonna have to cut. Gonna have to cut this Allen wrench. Maybe. That's the last bolt.
So this is where I start walking around and trying to figure out what I'm about to do. I end up taking this Allen wrench down to my garage and cutting it short with a Dremel tool. Actually, I have a Ziz wheel, but I used a Dremel tool. And I come back and I show y'all the little short stubby Allen that I made, and then I take it out. I forgot I messed with this linkage and got this cable freed up, which I ended up cutting. And then carried on. This is where I realized I gotta take the back off, which I had Raminators years ago, and I haven't messed with the transmission on this one, but I guess I do remember putting it on its nose to take the back of the transmission off. Now I remember. So the rest of the video, I don't move the camera. I just work on the back of the Raminator. I take the set pin out of the drive shaft and take it off, and then I go through the same sequence that I did go through to take the front piece off. And then once I get the back off, I take out the drum that slides back and forth, and the switching
rear drive
arm
loose, because
and I remove half of that beveled gear that's on the
take the back of it off.
back side, and I replace it with a little aluminum piece that comes with the Raminator if you want to take the reverse out. And I switched into the high-speed gears, which was a 20 on the pinion and a 30 on the spur. No, I got it backwards. A 30 on the pinion and a 20 on the spur. Which I got that back. I'm not sure. I have to look and see how I had it. I know that the big gear went on the output. So, all right. I might speed up the video a little bit since I'm working on the other side. But it's pretty much the same exact thing. So after going back and making sure
Okay.
the
I gotta take the back off.
pinion gear is on the left and the spur gear is on the right, which the spur gear is also the output shaft. So being that that's how it goes, a 20 on the spur and a 30 on the pinion would be a 12-to-1 transmission ratio for high speed.
Damn it.
If you're wondering what just happened, I got some grease on the floor and then I stepped in it, and I only took one step before I realized, so it wasn't like it was everywhere, but I had to stop and wipe it up, and that's what you're hearing.
Okay. All I got left is put the set screws back in the drive shafts. I'm leaving that top bolt on both sides out of the case up there. I don't think it'll have any issues. It's got 5 in it on both sides, so I don't think there'll be any problem. Damn it. And kicking fans on. Sometimes working on these big mothers suck. Sometimes it's not that bad. A lot of times things are just in the right place to where you gotta do it by hand. And you can only move something a 1/16 of a turn. There's not a lot of that on the Raminator, thank goodness. Alright. 2 bolts we left out on the top for future maintenance. Okay, so we all back together. Hey, so while I was editing this video and making sure it was like I wanted, I was looking at some stuff that I was talking about in the video, and I could not remember if I put this transmission back together right. I knew that I put the small gear, the 20, on the output shaft, which was wrong. And I kept thinking about it, and I kept thinking about it, and I got up and I thought, well, I'll prop the truck up and mark, the motor, the pinion, and I'll turn it and see how many times it turns for however many times. Well, when I rolled the truck, there was no connection. Like, I could move the motor and the wheels wouldn't turn, and I was like, what? So I ended up having to take the drive shaft back off, take the back of the case off again, and look at everything, and I actually had got it backwards. I took the front bevel gear out and put the little aluminum spacer in, and there's a drum kind of looking piece that locks in the bevel gear, and I left it out too. So once I got it all figured back out, everything's fine. I've got it all back together, but let me show you exactly what I did. We'll use this pointer. So this is the front bevel gear, and this is the rear bevel gear. And it says right here, this thing's in the way, but it says right here that if you want to eliminate reverse, to remove the rear bevel gear, which is this one. I removed this one and put the spacer on there and put it all back together. And I left this piece out completely, which locks into that gear, and that's how you get power from the actual motor to the transmission. So I had to take this gear out, pull the shaft out, put this back on here, put the piece in place of this beveled gear, put this beveled gear back on, which made it kind of look like this, which looked like this right here, with no beveled gear compared to this with the beveled gear. And of course the arm's gone. But the drum's still there because that's what locks it. And I just had to take it all back apart and put it back together. And now we're back together and done. So thanks for watching, guys. I'm going to show the difference between the top speed or on-road setup and the off-road setup. So check that out. Thanks again.